I think we're just going to have to assume that we are live. Yes, we are 12 seconds in.
And we are live again?
We are live again. Hello, everybody. This is Bill Peschel.
And I'm Teresa. And thank you, Bill. We got it to work again. Oh, my gosh. That's really quite amazing.
Yes. In fact, I think I have to tone down the volume a little bit. We're going into the red zone there. Not a good idea.
That's probably bad.
And yes, you can see over here in the right side, there's studio. Excellent. No views, which is not surprising. But
no current viewers. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. We've broadcast to crickets, folks. That's the way it works.
Well, we get views later. Thank you so much, and welcome to Agatha Christie They Watched. And we are going to be talking this time about the Japanese murder of Corrido, the Corrido murder of Corrido, basically the Japanese version of the Murder of Roger Ackroyd from 2018. It was a Fuji television, about 3 hours. How long was it?
2 hours and 38 minutes.
That's correct. And we have a lot to say about it.
And I have to start by saying, my goodness, you wrote an introduction. We're really turning into pros here. Anyway, this is the third outing of Mansei Nomura as Suguru Takaru. And Suguru, one of the things that you start learning when you move out into the wider world is that the rest of the world does not necessarily follow Western conventions of given name and family name. And Japan, like so much of Asia, is family name followed by given name. And so we've had a lot of confusion with this over the years.
Yeah, so we have...
as to what is someone's given name and what is their family name. So I believe I have it correct. Mansei Nomura is Suguru Takaru, family name first, then given name.
Like you can see right here, this is the niece, and she's identified as Kuroido Hanako, which is the family name is Kuroido.
And then her given name, which is Hanako.
Mm-hmm.
And Hanako is Flora. Mm-hmm. And we're going to, this adaptation is so faithful that we can stick to the, to Agatha's names. In my review in International Agatha Christie, she watched, I use the names that you see on screen, but for this more casual podcast and live stream, I'm going to use Agatha's names because it is so much easier, and because then I am not going to mispronounce all of these Japanese names, because I will mispronounce them. The characters all rattle it off so fast, and you think, okay, what did they just say?
But really, they did everything right down the line. All the characters have a novel counterpart.
Every single one, even the police inspector, Inspector Ragland, and the lawyer, Mr. Hammond. They're all there.
Yeah, but they do make some changes which are very much Japanese, and we'll start with Hector Blunt, who in this case is, Randu Guruoru.
And he is a writer. Mm-hmm. He is a writer, and he is the only person you see on screen, other than during the funeral sequence. He is the only person you see continuously wearing a very traditional kimono. And that, I mean, right down to the gaiters. If you look at his feet, he is wearing gaiters. Mm-hmm. And those are kind of like a wooden platform with little protrusions on the bottom, so that you are wearing these wooden shoes to keep your feet out of the mud and keep your feet clean. Mm-hmm. And he's the only character who does this. And this is set in about 1952 or so. Everyone is still dealing with the aftermath of World War II, including the housekeeper, whose son was forcibly addicted to drugs while in the army. And this is a statement. This sends a statement to a Japanese audience, totally lost on me. But his kimono means something. I don't know what it is. If any of you folks know what it is, please tell us in the comments.
Actually, I can add a little something to it, because it reminds me of the Japanese author Yukio Mishima, who favored... He was a conservative. He was very much a traditionalist. He would favor traditional kimonos. Not always. He was a very sharp dresser. He had a very sharp idea about public image, but this is him, and you can sense the strength and the directness of him, and he ended up trying to lead a coup against the government. He was
that one?
Yeah, he was that one. Yes, he invaded an army
Are
base
you
with
sure?
his.
Because I thought it was Miyakawa. No,
No,
that's not
no.
right.
I just literally just looked this up. So it's Yukio Mishima. I wrote about it for my book, Writers Gone Wild. Not available anywhere except used, but we're going to put it back into print. Now, the point, though, is that he actually tried to lead a revolt, and he harangued, he brought the soldiers together. He invaded this base and forced the commander to bring his soldiers together, and he tried to incite a rebellion against the ruling powers. And they laughed at him and probably expected that base, and he went inside and committed seppuku. Very traditional way of offing oneself. And it was a performative, dramatic end to his life.
Oh, I'm getting confused with the Japanese author that, we'll call him Hector Blunt, with who Hector Blunt quotes. That's a different person.
Yes, that is Agawa Renose. In fact, we'll go ahead and play a little bit of the scene there because I think is it this one? Yes. Where, see, again, there's another change here where Dr. Shepard, the guy in the hat in the center, is actually rivals with Hector Blunt for
Flora's attentions. Dr. Shepard would like Flora to fall in love with him.
And this is him quoting.
This is Hector Blunt quoting.
Hector Blunt are quoting the Japanese author.
And there they give you his name.
They give you his name, and I looked him up, and he is considered the father of the Japanese short story. Now, here's the doctor trying to quote from the equivalent of it, and
because the doctor, of course, is a doctor.
And Hector says, it's just a cold you described, right? So the doctor, see, and again, this leads to another difference between this Ackroyd and all the others, is that this is funny at times. This is very funny.
Yes, at times this is surprisingly funny. This Dr. Shepard is younger than the others. He does not have the edge of vicious cynicism that you see in the Russian version and and God knows that truly dreadful David Suchet version. He doesn't have that ruthless cynicism, that intense dislike. And I'll get to that later because, of course, unfortunately, I do have to have spoilers because they change a little bit.
We should mention this. If you haven't read Roger Ackroyd, please read the novel first before you listen to any more of us.
and if you're in the United States, get our annotated edition because we go into great detail about all of the background involved in Roger Ackroyd, including did Agatha Christie play fair with the reader?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we think she did. We think she did. She rewrote how you could write a novel, and she used this kind of supremely unreliable narrator only twice in her career. This, and then something like 40 years later in Endless Night.
Well, you could also say Brown Suit, though, part of Brown Suit, because it was narrated.
Oh, that's right, because she was experimenting with Brown Suit.
Yeah, she experimented with it first and liked what she saw and then wrote Ackroyd.
But let me go back to the beginning anyway. So, because I'm losing my train of thought. I've been sick and we've taken a 2-week break and I have to get ready for the Chinese Roger Ackroyd, which is really different.
That's going to be a brain bender.
Oh my gosh, that is a brain bender. Because, well, we'll get to it we'll get to it next week when we talk about the Chinese Roger Ackroyd, part of a much larger story arc. But the Japanese really like Agatha Christie. They even have an Agatha Christie Prize for a up-and-coming mystery novelist. If you are looking for Type 2, there are actually 6 versions that I realized when we did international Agatha Christie. There are actually 6 ways you can look at Agatha Christie. You can be utterly faithful and traditional to the text, right down to the names, and the Japanese do that with their annotated or with their animated series. I mean, they simplify the stories, but they don't add anything. Everything that they do add something because they add Maybelle and the duck. But it is... You can follow along precisely. The names match, the backgrounds match. They do not play around. The Russians do that too. Then you get category 2, which becomes really interesting. And most of the Japanese films, in fact, I would say all of the Japanese films that we've seen fall into this category. And that is faithful to the text, but adapted to the local culture. And so here we are with the murder of Kuroido, which is the murder of Roger Ackroyd, and it takes place in, I would guess, 1952 Japan. Most of the characters that we see are wearing Western dress. They live in the two houses that we see, Dr. Shepard's and Kuroido. They have more Western-style houses. This is Dr. Shepard's house.
Yeah.
And they have Western-style furniture, although it's ever so slightly different, and it really makes Hector Blunt stand out in his kimono. And yet, when you are with Dr. Shepard and Ralph Payton in the seedy little motel, Dr. Shepard is, they are wearing gaiters, they're kneeling, they're on the floor. This is a very traditional Japanese building. There is a Japanese priest who shelters Ralph Payton at the behest of Dr. Shepard. There are shrines. You see things in the background like statues that are simply covered with mold. I mean, they reference earlier periods. It is very, very Japanese. At the same time, you recognize every single plot beat. The names are changed. That's probably that, and changing the setting. The names are changed because, of course, this is a Japanese production taking place in 1952, and it fits inside. It fits perfectly. It is amazing how well Agatha works in a Japanese setting, because you're so concerned about what people will think. You're so concerned about money. You're so concerned about your relatives. Are you getting ahead in the world? How are you managing? I mean, it's all right there. It's all right there. Now, this film, The Murder of Kuroido, is actually one of 3 Monse Numura Agatha Christie outings. And we have seen all 3, and we will do them not in the order in which they were filmed, but in the order in which Agatha wrote the novels, because that's how we're doing the live stream / podcast. We're going forward as she wrote them. And so here we are at The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. This is actually the second of the 3 Monse Numura films. The first one is Murder on the Orient Express. And
which gets mentioned in here.
Wow, that one is really amazing. And then they also filmed The Appointment with Death, and it is superb. It is absolutely superb. Appointment with Death is one of Agatha's, I think, finest novels. And the Suchet version was horrible, absolutely not to be believed how truly dreadful it was. And are you playing with the screen, Bill?
Yes, I'm getting a warning because they're recognizing, oh my God, we're pirating video here. And it's like,
oh my gosh. Anyway, Appointment with Death, the Monse Numura version is absolutely flawless, and you really see how evil Mrs. Boynton is, and we'll get to that when Appointment with Death comes up. That is a must-see. If you're an Agatha Christie film buff, that is absolutely a must-see. It lurks somewhere, sometimes on Daily Motion.
Just as this version is, and we have links to the Daily Motion file, so you can watch this movie yourself right now if you wanted to.
So here we are with the middle one, and Monse Numura is really hitting his stride as Poirot. He had a lot of tics and a little bit to kind of like set him apart from the rest of Japanese society that he used in Murder on the Orient Express, and that's worth a point too. Suguru, that's his in-house name, is in the Agatha Christie canon, let me regroup. In the Agatha Christie canon, Hercule Poirot is, of course, a retired Belgian detective, and that makes him a fish out of water in English culture. Well, how do you make a very insular culture, how do you become a fish out of water when you would certainly not have a Belgian detective? And so what you do is you take a normal Japanese man and you give him the extravagant mustache, and he's one of the very few people you'll see with an extravagant mustache. You give him the extravagant mustache, and you also make him comic, and it sets him apart. It makes him an outsider in a way that no one else is. But he is well regarded. Suguru knows that he is the smartest man around. He is very proud of being the smartest man around. And there's a police inspector, Inspector Ragland. He knows who Suguru is. He is just fanboying all over when he meets him. Oh my God, the great detective. Oh, I am so grateful that you have come. Oh my God, I am so honored to meet you. And it's just almost to the point of absurdity. And you never see this with, can't recall seeing any English police detective, even Jap, fawning over Poirot like this. He is just ecstatic.
And they even go to the point of saying, well, let me get a camera, we'll take a picture. It's the Japanese fondness for taking pictures.
Oh, we all want pictures of ourselves with celebrities for our Love Me wall. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you that when Inspector Ragland has this picture developed, he is going to have this big picture framed and enlarged and hung in the center of his I Love Me wall. Yeah. Because, of course, that's what you do.
And again, this is where you get all the comedy coming on, all character-based kind of comedy that's in the middle of this very, very serious story.
Yeah, and there are moments when it is really, really funny. Oh, and we have a comment.
Yes.
Well, thank you for stopping in, Laura. But it is just there's a lot in here that is surprisingly funny. You laugh out loud. Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, that's Flora's mother, is always guaranteed to be over the top and absurd. Like her daughter, she likes to faint, and like this is her attitude. Never in my life have I closed a door that I myself have opened. Mm-hmm. That is what servants do. Mm-hmm. And again, you see this in the background. In there are sequences, I don't know if Bill got it, but there are sequences, but if you look very carefully in the background, the parlor maid, Ursula Bourne, is looking at, she's not paying attention. She is doing her work.
Yeah, she's straightening things up behind them as they're looking in the cabinet where the knife was and talking about it. And then she bows
as she leaves. They're not even paying one bit of attention to her. They do not see her. They do not see her at all, but she still bows because she's being respectful to the more important people in the room, even though they don't see her. And there's a sequence at the where Suguru does the Poirot, and she and the housekeeper and the butler are seated at the back of the room at a separate table because they are servants. Mm-hmm. And the class difference is more so, I think, than what you see in any of the English ones, because we just can't get out of our own way as to how people actually did behave in 1926. Although it depended on where you were, how much you got that forelock tugging. And I'm thinking of Bunter, who's always respectful to Lord Peter Wimsey, but not necessarily, you get that sly, dry edge where he's pointing out Lord Peter's mistakes.
Yes, in fact, I think Lord Peter waves him off at one point with kind of like, watch where you're stepping, and Bunter sidesteps it very neatly. I can't remember which story that was, but because Japan is more class-based, India is more class-based, you tend to see these kind of stories emphasize that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. When we get to Cards on the Table, there's a wonderful sequence where you can tell, you see exactly who is important and who is not. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is right out there on the screen. So we're here in 1952 Japan, and yet every single beat of the story of Roger Ackroyd is present. Now there is a I have to keep track of my time.
Oh, we're 20 minutes in.
Oh, are we? How can you tell?
Right down there. See?
Oh.
The little ticking clock that's ticking away our lives.
I see.
Second by second.
I can't. This is why I'm the talent.
This is why she's the talent. She shouldn't be paying attention to this sort of thing. I would definitely warn you, we'll get to the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, because I do try to keep it around 30 minutes. 40 is the absolute outside, because everybody's busy and has stuff to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we really follow the story. And one of the things that I really love about this adaptation is what I love about the Russian adaptation. It's what I hate about the David Suchet adaptation, and the Chinese one is so far out there in left field that it doesn't play well. But if you have not read the novel and you sit down and watch this version, the Japanese version, or you sit down and watch the Russian version, you will be shocked at the conclusion. You will be absolutely shocked. They set it up exactly like the novel is, where Dr. Shepard is this nice country doctor, and he is next door to Poirot, and he has his sister, and he is friends with Roger Ackroyd, and he receives the mysterious phone call and rushes back to Roger Ackroyd's house and discovers him knifed, and everything proceeds from there. He even hands over the manuscript at the very beginning. He hands over the manuscript to Poirot and says, "Please read my manuscript." And then we go back in time to when just before the murder of Corroido.
When Mrs. Frere dies.
Yeah, to when Mrs. Ferrars dies. And every single thing is done almost as Agatha did it. And so you are not cheated in any way of the absolutely devastating climax when you realize, darn, I was wrong every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost, and it is surprisingly funny, and we move forward, and then at the Poirot, Suguru reveals all, and he looks at various things. We'll take a short moment and show how observant he is. This is Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, and Suguru Poirot already suspects her of what she has done, but he recognizes that she faked it. Nothing slips past Suguru. Nothing.
Yeah. Because this is the flashback where they're reading the will, and Poirot notices she set down the teacup.
She went all the way to the back of the room to set down her teacup, and then when the will is read that she only gets 150,000 yen, then she carefully faints on the couch on her daughter, having prepared for this, because of course she had already snuck into. YouTube is getting.
Don't worry about. We can't worry about it.
But anyway, she has already snuck into Roger Ackroyd's office, rifled through the desk to find the will. She already knows that she's not getting much more than the housekeeper. A minor change is to Ursula Bourne, the parlor maid. She is not a wealthy young lady on her uppers. Instead, she is basically she's a working class girl, but she's very pretty and she's smart and she's capable and she falls madly in love with Ralph Peyton, but she is not gentry class working as a maid as Ursula Bourne was in the novel. And again, this is probably, I'm sure the scriptwriter had a reason for this, whatever it was, but it does work.
Yeah, I'll point out that they do introduce the characters with like this, at least as far as they did in this episode, and they've done it in a couple of other Agatha Christie adaptations. And it's just something that it's a convention of Japanese TV, and whoever did the subtitling did a nice job adding it to it as well.
Yeah, we have some terrible subtitled ones. The Chinese one coming up is truly dreadful, unless maybe we can find it on Roku.
I don't know. Well, we'll look for it. We'll have to look.
The big change, and the big change is Dr. Shepard, and this is where I'm going to get into a major spoiler. The big change is Dr. Shepard. He is younger than what you typically see. I mean, he looks to be in his late 20s, early 30s. He is certainly not a cynical man in his late 40s, the way Dr. Shepard comes across in the novel. He could have married if he wanted to. Japan was probably very much like 1920s England after the war, where basically any man who wanted to marry could, and any woman who wanted to marry had to work at it, because there were a lot more women than men, because so many of them had died in the war. So he is younger. They give him a romance plot with Miss Flora, with Flora Ackroyd. not in so many words. It is longing glances. He's jealous of Hector Blunt. And you can see why he would want to marry Miss Flora. She's pretty, she's charming, she's friendly, she's very easy to get along with. Look at that. She carefully moves away from Dr. Shepherd to fall into Hector Blunt's manly arms. And you see this. I think she does this twice, where she faints and falls into Hector's manly arms.
Yeah.
But this is the only version in which you see Dr. Shepherd pining after Flora Ackroyd. And she would be a catch for him because she is she's pretty, she's well connected, she's easy to get along with, she's rich. And she is the niece of a very rich man. So you can understand why this would be like that. So that's a fairly minor change. Another change that is larger, and in the end it plays very, very much for the end, and it's why I can't give this a full 5 stars. This Dr. Shepherd has a great relationship with his sister Caroline. And I think, we talked about that particular wonderful clip where he comes home from the murder, and and his sister is waiting for him.
This is the morning after where they found the body, and he visited Ackroyd's house.
Yes,
so this is the first introduction we get to Caroline. That's
Caroline.
why you see
and there
her
she
name
is.
on the screen.
Yes, prepare your breakfast. And
as you can see, she
already knows. He hasn't said one word. She already knows what happened to Mrs. Ferrars.
But again, and this is right out of the novel. There's small changes, the newspaper delivery boy as opposed to whoever it was, but she is tied into the community and knows everything almost before he does. Certainly before he could tell her.
Yep.
And she's already reached conclusions about why it happened too.
Yes, and this Caroline she is delightful. She is charming. I like all of the Carolines, except for the one in the David Suchet who turns stupid when she brings in the handgun. But this Caroline, she is charming. She is funny. She is amusing. She and Dr. Shepherd have a very close, loving relationship, which is not in the novel. It's not in the Russian version.
Yeah.
In the novel, she recognizes that Dr. Shepherd, her younger brother, is weak, and she looks out for him. But here they have a very loving, giving relationship. He is never rude to her. He can be confused, he can be startled, he can be, Caroline, what are you thinking? But you never get the nasty edge that you get, particularly in the Russian version. You never, ever get that. Yes, if you don't want things to leak out, then don't tell it to me.
That's a pretty common face he gives throughout.
And he has this, he loves his sister.
Yeah.
He loves his sister dearly. And that, I think, in the end, is what weakens the ending. Because in the other versions of Roger Ackroyd, Dr. Shepherd, when he was faced with Mr. Ferrars' death, he could have done one of 3 things. He could have pretended he knew nothing, and everything went on from there. He could have looked at Mr. Ferrars' death and said, "Justice is more important than mercy. I will go to the police." Or he could have chosen option number 3, which is the one of a weak, money-grubbing man. I will blackmail you over what you did. That I won't tell, you don't want me to talk to the police? I won't, but you have to pay me. And again, the Russian version is absolutely flawless. Dr. Shepherd wanted the money. He wanted the money because he wanted the money. He wanted to escape his little boring country village. He wanted to go off into the big wide world. But here, he needed the money because of Caroline. And there's a one sentence, and I will let you, I see you making notes about something.
Just something else.
Okay, but I will let Bill, because Bill noticed it in particular, a single sentence that they could have dropped. Because again, it's just...
Well, to set it up, what he confessed, and I don't have the clip for this, is that he did it because Caroline has a brain tumor, and he needed the money for the operation, so that's why he blackmailed Mrs. Ferrars and
to pay for Caroline's care,
pay
which is
for the care,
understandable.
and it didn't work. And that was, in a way, that was fine. I think there must be something Japanese about this where they wanted to soften his character in this way.
Because he's a doctor?
But then he says...
I mean, maybe that is, because in the Japanese version of And Then There Were None, the doctor redeemed herself. She still died horribly, but she was redeeming herself.
Yeah.
Because doctors are important, respected people. And so you don't make fun of doctors.
Yeah.
Not like that.
But then he says there's a doctor in the United States who could cure her, but we need the money for it, and he wants a lot of money. And at that moment, it's like this 5-second clip in which all of a sudden, in a way, it puts Poirot on the ethical hook, because if he doesn't do anything about that, Carolyn's going to die in 6 months.
Yeah.
And the idea is that Dr. Shepard would take an overdose. Nobody would explain what actually happened until Caroline died. And then the manuscript would come out and it would explain everything. But Carolyn would never know what loving her brother did. And to change that, in a way, it puts Poirot on the hook for Carolyn's death.
Yeah, and I didn't like that.
It wasn't necessary, I don't think.
I did not like how Caroline was... I loved how Caroline was handled. I really did. I liked her relationship with Dr. Shepard. I did not... I could even accept that Dr. Shepard was blackmailing Mrs. Ferrars in order to keep his sister alive. I could even accept that because doctors cost money. Doctors in Tokyo are going to be expensive as compared to, the local... wherever you are,
rural GP.
Some rural GP. And I can understand all of that. But then it's almost as though you have to say, I've been blackmailing Mrs. Ferrars so that I can take Caroline to America to have this operation. And now I can't do that because of Corroido's death. Because, of course, he stabbed, Dr. Shepard stabbed Roger Ackroyd so that it wouldn't be revealed that he was blackmailing Mrs. Ferrars. And then you come back to the point where it's obvious that Roger Ackroyd in this community, he's an important man, he's a wealthy man. If the doctor is welcome in his home, why didn't he ask for a loan? I don't know. I don't know, but it just was... I didn't like this part. I mean, there's so much about this movie to absolutely love. And then that last couple of minutes just gives you kind of a bad taste in your mouth.
It kind of throws you out of it. And it's not necessary.
And it wasn't necessary. That single sentence was not necessary.
And it kind of shows why you have to be really, really careful adapting Agatha Christie. Her plots are all tied together. And yeah, they have weak points as well. And we've seen stories like The Blue Geranium in which they expanded it into an hour and a half and did a great job.
Oh my God, that's a real winner.
They were adding to it. But to take something like Secrets of Chimneys and just turn it into that trash pile.
What a trash pile.
With Miss Marple. And they even did that with Endless Night. They introduced Miss Marple in it, and you had two movies.
Two dueling movies.
Two dueling movies. You had,
the
original story, and then Miss Marple shoehorning herself in.
Terrible version.
So this is why Teresa gave it 4.5 stars.
Because it's almost perfect.
It's almost perfect. And there's a lot to enjoy.
Oh my God. 99% of the movie. It's just that last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, no, this is not, I can understand this Dr. Shepard blackmailing Mrs. Ferrars for money for his sister's care. And then you stop there. He doesn't want it revealed to the larger village. He doesn't want it revealed to the larger world. His sister would be endlessly ashamed. He would go to jail. All of this other stuff would happen. His sister would die. That's why he had to knife Roger Ackroyd. So this isn't revealed. He steals the letter, the suicide note that reveals him. It's all there, and you could have stopped right there, but no. You have to go on with, I need a doctor from America who will be able to save my sister.
Yep.
And then...
That's why the killing sprees will continue.
Yes, the killing sprees will continue until I can squeeze out as much money from various people as possible to take my sister to San Francisco to see to see an American doctor.
Yeah.
And it puts,
it makes Poirot responsible for Caroline's death.
It makes Poirot partially responsible for Caroline's death, because the implication is if they went to America, she would be okay.
Yeah, he said so. He could cure her. Yeah. And, well, but anyway, there you go.
But there's so much to love. There is just so much to love. Yeah. And you want to watch it twice to catch all kinds of things, like the curry rice. Caroline is a good cook.
So she cooks curry, what she calls curried rice, and then because after all, curry is an Indian spice, and who knows how much it penetrated into Japanese culture, and certainly not in the rural areas.
You're not going to find curry, so she put her little gray cells to work.
And did some substitutions. Now, miso, as I looked it up, is a very pungent, savory, salty, bold sauce made from fermented soybeans. So rice with fermented soybeans.
And I guess I have no idea if maybe Japanese people do use this as a condiment, but she overdid it. As you can tell.
And then she forgot the pickles.
Pickles to cut the saltiness.
Yeah, but not just any pickles. Pickles made from, it was pickled loche. And yes, and again, this is Poirot as a comic character.
And it's funny. It's funny. And then she brings in the garnish. And Bill had to look this up because it is, like I said, it is pickled loche. And they are little freshwater fish. And from the looks of the jar, it looks like you kill the fish, and I guess you gut them, although maybe not, because with sardines, you find the little tiny curls of intestines inside, and you pickle them in brine. Don't you remember? Mark got the sardines, and when he bit into one and discovered that they was still whole, and he fed the rest of them to the cats. Who were very appreciative.
I'm sure. Well, that's good.
But there's so much to love.
There's a
about
lot to
this
love
episode.
about this.
There's so much to love, and absolutely, you should watch it. Mm-hmm. If you're an Agatha Christie fan, absolutely you should watch it. The Japanese, they do wonderful adaptations. They're all very true to the text and yet intensely Japanese.
And very Japanese. And we have a link in the description below to Daily Motion so you can watch it yourself. And now, next time, what are we doing?
Next week, we are just looking at the 4th adaptation of Roger Ackroyd. And this is, it's called Murder in the Richest Man's House, something like that. And it is part of the giant overall arc
called Checkmate.
This is a Chinese series.
The first official Chinese adaptation of Agatha Christie.
And you have Situ Yan and Lao Shaoshan, who are, Situ Yan is our very young, idealistic Poirot avatar, and his sidekick. And the thing with watching Murder in the House of the Wealthiest Man, the Chinese version of Roger Ackroyd, is in order for it to even begin to make sense, you have to watch the first set of episodes in this 24-episode arc of Murder on the Orient Express, and then it bleeds over into Roger Ackroyd.
Yeah, it starts. Like you said.
And then you will see things in this episode of Roger Ackroyd that actually play out 23 episodes later. And most of Checkmate is totally worth watching, but you look for a version with decent subtitles because ours was terrible, and you have to watch the entire 24-episode arc twice in order to start seeing how what happens at the beginning matters at the end. And they adapted a number of novels, but there aren't very many that we can do on the broadcast because you can't watch all 24 episodes in one go. It just doesn't work.
So we're just watching a subset of it. We'll have more information about that as well.
Yeah, so we're going to watch the subset the subsite.
The arc.
Yeah, which is, I think, episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7. And yes, episodes 4, 5, 6, and
That's
7.
about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, maybe.
Let's look.
That's
I have the book.
about it, because it starts with Orient Express, and that's an easy way to get into it, because it's all very clear that this is what they're doing, but their characters are so different.
Yeah, it's really different.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is 2 hours and 15 minutes to watch episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7. And episode 7 sets you up for Cat Among the Pigeons. And again, there's stuff that happens that refers back to the first episode, and there's stuff that pays off in episode 23. So it's a challenge. If you haven't watched the opening and then work your way all the way through to the end.
So anyway, but that's our show for today. This is Agatha Christie, They Watched. I'm Bill.
And I'm Teresa, and thanks so much for joining us. And please like, subscribe, follow. I'm learning to say it. Yes, talk about us,
share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to keep with us on a daily basis, we are on Instagram. So just look for Peschel
Link
Press.
below.
And thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And we'll